Hello and welcome to Builders, the podcast where we dive deep into the minds of industry leaders shaping the future of technology. I'm Lee Haynes, and today we have an exceptional guest, Sara Asgari, Head of Digital and Analytics at Telia. Telia is a key player in telecommunications and digital infrastructure, powering connectivity across Nordic and Baltic countries. As networks evolve with AI, automation, and the rise of 5G, 6G, data-driven decision-making is more critical than ever. Sara sits at the center of this transformation, leading Telia's digital and analytics initiatives to drive innovation, enhance customer experiences, and build high-performing teams. Sara, a warm welcome to the podcast. Really, really nice to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. Really excited to be here.
And I'm excited to get into today's chat. So let's not delay any further, shall we? Let's start with your journey. What path led you to your current role as head of digital and analytics at Telia? What came before?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was never really that interested in tech. I only started my journey pursuing a civil engineer degree in the beginning because, and many people, I guess, from Iranian families can relate, there were only two acceptable career paths. One was being an engineer and the other one was being a doctor.
Okay.
So I started pursuing that degree, dropped out 1.5 years later, and switched to business economics because I realized that I was a bit more interested in humans and human interactions. And during my final year, I did an essay where I looked into cross-professional collaboration. And I studied hospitals and how emergency rooms can function under like extreme pressure. And what excited me or what fascinated me with that was to see how all of these different professions or disciplines, they had perfected this way of working where everyone knew their own role to a T, but they could only be successful if they had collaboration and put the patient in the center. So they were like really with precision when it came to timing, high trust, and decision making to save lives. And I knew that this was something that I was interested in looking more into, like the intersection between professions. And when I had my degree and I wanted to start work, I was like, okay, so how can I do this? What can I do? And the only job or role I found out there was within project management, to be a project manager.
Right.
But this way of thinking was fairly new. I mean, this was like 20 years back. We didn't really know, it wasn't perfected in the corporate world at all, I would say. But it was mostly like bridging between business and technology. And I would say that that's still what I'm doing now, 16 years later. That's still where I am, in that intersection between different perspectives or roles within a company. So it's been kind of a straight road ahead, but it took different terms. But what excited me then is still what excites me today, and what makes me want to continue to pursue this line of work.
Nice. And you were in before the kind of leadership roles that you're in now. Of course, you were. Was it purely kind of project management, or were there other kind of leadership roles?
No. So I mean, it started out that way, but it's been in. I've been in the startup world, I've been in the scale-up world, I've been in head of departments and organizations, and I found that what is most interesting is to work in large organizations. I see that that's where that type of thinking or those skill sets brings the most value for, the business or the corporate when it comes to transformation. Transforming mindsets and mind shifts in big organizations that have been around with technical legacy and depth for hundreds of years. It's when it works, it's one of the most thrilling experiences, I think, that when we see that, okay, we have actually made this work. We are now more reliant on these new technologies, or we have higher degree of innovation, or we have been able to retain these skill sets over some time. It means that we're doing something right, that people want to join our company. And I think that is truly exciting.
And we're going to talk a little bit about kind of hiring and whatnot shortly. But you've been in leadership roles for a while now. How would you say the digital and analytics landscape has changed since you first entered the field? There's so much happening there, right?
It's been a remarkable change, and I heard somebody label it as moving from the back room to the boardroom. When I started, digital analytics were largely support functions. So the digital experience or digital was something more of a storefront or distribution channel, and the data provided insights but was never at the core of decision making. Now I would say that they define the strategy. And the data isn't just supporting business, it is business. So the change and the speed of change has been remarkable.
What have been some of the biggest kind of challenges in this change, like transitioning from, it's like you said before, is maybe more a support function to kind of actually driving business strategy today? There must have been some real challenges along the way, right?
I mean, except from the more obvious things, of course, is that lack of data, lack of insights, not having a good analytics foundation to build on, not being able to utilize. A lot of companies that I work for have been large organizations. I've been a lot in the financial sector and in telecom. Both companies have access to enormous amounts of data, but we haven't really understood how to use them in good ways to support our customers or support our business. So kind of finding ways to structure that and build that is one thing, but the other one is building company adaptability, where if you're relying on these smart, moving, rapidly changing and evolving technologies, you need to have a business that is just as adaptable. So oftentimes we work more with people and change management than with actual technology. And when we work with technology, that too needs to be built in a way so it's easily adaptable or changed and added on. So working with scale is one of the most critical parts.
And on the point of working with people, on the point of kind of attracting and retaining, obviously, the best talent, finding and keeping the right talent in tech in general is like is a big challenge for all companies. What are the main obstacles, would you say, that you encounter when assembling like a high performing team?
I would say that maybe there are three big challenges. One is a skill gap, and it's not only that the tools and frameworks are changing rapidly, so it's difficult for us to keep up, but it's also that the demand for people that have digital or analytical expertise is higher than the supply. Because it's not only now limited to one area of an organization where it's like the digital analytics department, it's skill sets that are needed throughout the entire organization and preferably on all levels. And we are not quite there yet, I would say. And the other one would be culture fit versus innovation mindset. So the best teams is, of course, a mix, as always, between deep expertise and fresh thinking. So if you have too many super experienced people, you could risk stagnation. And if you have a lot of disruptive thinkers, you could also lose execution power.
Yeah.
And the challenge is finding the right balance, I would say. And of course, retention. I mean, once we have found them, you don't want them to leave. So it needs to be kind of an environment that challenges and engages and inspires them. And finding people with the mindset is as important as skill set, of course.
Yeah. I think they're all really, really good points. But in terms of kind of, retaining them, what are, in addition maybe to, you spoke about the environment in which these kind of people are working, but are there any other kind of successful strategies that you and your teams have been putting into place?
This is what we talk about a lot in the management team. I would say this is our daily struggle. How do we create this environment that smart people can stay and grow? And we try to focus on having like the continuous learning or higher for learning ability. And if we want people to be able to learn, we need to create a space where they feel free to experiment or fail and therefore grow. And that is like something that we work with daily is, okay, so how do we install that space of freedom to do these things and learn? And then I find that a lot of super smart people, they want to be challenged. So they want to focus and they want to be working on things that are really impactful and meaningful and solve actual problems for the organizations and not just putting them on mindless kind of tasks, but to give them something that will create an effect, bottom line, or impact society or whatever we're working on that creates some kind of actual meaning. Was that two? I need a third one. I would say culture of innovation, perhaps, to have something where people feel valued and heard and excited about the future. So what are we trying to achieve? What are we striving for? And empower people to find new ways to solve that. Just to like, this is where we're headed. You be the one to tell us how. So, I mean, just trying to create a space where smart people want to be, and hopefully they will stay.
And specific to, you mentioned kind of like a skills gap and, giving space for people to learn and everything. I'm interested to hear a little bit about like the, an AI kind of skills gap and whether there's, any successful kind of strategies in place at Telia when it comes to that. I mean, is it a matter, you mentioned obviously supply not quite keeping up with demand, and this is one, significant area for businesses, right, where there's a big kind of AI skills gap. Is there kind of upskilling going on, or what kind of strategies are in place?
Yeah, when it comes to AI, we're mainly looking at upskilling. So what we are trying to hire more and more is to move from perhaps data engineering roles or business data analyst roles or web analyst roles to more and more like data science roles, because we see that what's important is that we connect the different data sources. And if we're looking at having this agentic approach to AI, and then we need to have clear data flows in between all of our key applications. And therefore, the skill set of understanding how to combine and make sense of the data has become more and more important. And that is what we're focusing on at the moment, rather than people. Not many people have that extensive AI experience anyways. So It's not the main focus when we are recruiting. We are not looking for people that work with AI for 20 years because they simply don't exist.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
No. Fair point. And how do you, in terms of evaluation of different skills, how do you evaluate the right mix of skills when hiring? This could be both hard skills, soft skills, everything in between.
Well, I would say that we work a lot with diversity, and I would say that it's more of a business necessity than anything else. I have found that when you work with these groups that are alike, I don't know how to say the word, so I'm trying to avoid it, homogeneous groups or teams.
Yeah.
They are really good at being, comfortable and super effective when it comes to doing the same thing tomorrow as we're doing today.
Yeah.
But if you want to have the breakthrough ideas, you need to have the wider or broad set of perspectives at the table. And that's why diversity is so important when we recruit. So we're looking at having that kind of multi-perspectives into everything that we do into our daily operations.
Yeah. No, I think, that point often can be underestimated. Right? I was reading somewhere before that companies with this high diversity in particularly in leadership can have far outperform 35% or above outperform competitors, right? And then there's also how much they can kind of generate in terms of innovation revenue and stuff like this. And I think these things can easily be kind of downplayed or underestimated. So I think it's a nice point that you bring.
I completely agree. It's a competitive advantage for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But how can companies go beyond hiring to build truly inclusive cultures where this diverse talent thrives, do you think?
To have an inclusive culture, I think that it has. I think there's one thing to work with everyone feeling included, like you are all invited to the meetings and you get the same things, and there's another thing of actually making sure that everybody feels valued, that their unique perspective is what making the change, because then that's how they would feel like truly empowered to also share that perspective. And that is not easy. I would say when it comes to recruitment, we sometimes, because we realize we have our own biases, I noticed a period of time that we all had the same hairdo, everybody that worked in my team. And I found that interesting. So we can use like AI also to help us select. And AI is usually not that biased. It could be, but when it comes to these things, they can be programmed not to be. And make sure that it's a leadership, that leadership is held accountable when it comes to creating these teams. And it's not something that HR is doing. It should be a priority in the leadership teams. So if we are not actively driving inclusion, it won't happen. It's not a checkbox. It's, as you said, it's a competitive advantage. Just make sure that we have the focus on it and we talk about it so that we don't forget that it needs to be in the forefront. And when we are creating these teams.
Yeah. And it's a kind of hot topic as well. I mean, with everything going on in the United States as well, around diversity and equity and inclusion and everything. Do you think there's a role that data plays in helping companies kind of track and improve their kind of diversity, equity, inclusion efforts?
Well, it could be, for instance, if you would use it during recruiting more. We don't actually do that, but I have seen recruitment companies use AI for at least the initial selections, so that it is more skill-based. I haven't used it myself, but I mean, I feel like it would bring a lot of value to a recruitment process if you want to base it more on merit than on somebody else's subjective view.
Yeah. And at the start you were talking about kind of collaboration across professions or professional settings and everything as well. I'd like to get your take on I think one of the I feel like one of the biggest challenges particularly in large organizations, and that's kind of aligning both business and technology teams or kind of initiatives, projects, whatever it might be. How do you encourage collaboration and alignment between business and tech functions at Telia?
Yes, this is a very important one when you're working in large organizations, and I think it boils down to two things. It's having a shared goals and shared language. And you won't have that if you're working in silos. And that's typically how it's been done. You have the tech organization and the business organization, and the business creates requirements and they hand it over to the tech organization that builds something and hand that delivers it back. And a way to avoid that and create a common language and common goals is to embed the business professions into the tech teams. So it's not about finding ways to communicate better. It's just being a natural part of the team. Yeah, and you can do that in different ways, creating like cross-functional squads, or we use a scaled agile framework in our organization to create those value streams of people collaborating across and trying to break silos from business, from strategy to execution. In small organizations, that's usually not necessary. You could find other ways to do this. But shared goals and shared language, I would say, have the embedded teams that are working towards the same goal or the same tasks.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting point on the embedded teams for sure. Are there any, or what would you say are the most common pitfalls when these two areas are kind of misaligned? What should companies kind of look out for?
Yeah, I think that what we put a lot of focus on sometimes is creating efficiency in development or in the execution streams. Usually they are the most complex. That's where we have a lot of the business intelligence and complexities. And a lot of the workforce goes into the execution phases, which they should. We don't need that many thinkers. We also need thinkers and doers working together. But what we are sometimes lacking is the strategy part. So it doesn't really matter how efficient you are at doing something if it's the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And we are not putting enough effort and time into understanding, are we solving the real problem or not? So I would say that is one of the biggest challenges and pitfalls for almost all companies. No matter what type of development framework you would use, you would need to have somebody monitoring that.
No, really well put. I think I've spoken a little bit about it in other episodes as well. I think it's a really common kind of theme where people mention, like, it's often a decision's already been made before kind of the problem has been kind of communicated or kind of researched.
Right.
So yeah. Onto AI and automation and how this is kind of transforming the telecom industry. How do you see AI shaping the future of customer experiences and how data is integrated into like strategic planning at Telia?
So of course it's making everything faster, smarter, and more personalized, enhancing customer experiences. I would say everything that can be automated will be. The technology is getting that good, but is also very good today. I mean, we can automate a lot of things using not only structured data, but unstructured data. The most common use cases is within customer service, to be more proactive, where we can not only predict the issue, but we can also perhaps prevent it from even being noticed by the customer. Hyper-personalization, making things feel tailor-made for me. And automation, I would say, again, automation is something that we have been doing all the years I've been working, and probably all the years before that as well. But doing it at scale, I think, is the new thing. Not redoing things, not building it, reducing friction, seeing how we can orchestrate these different agents and chatbots into something more. We're focused on the intent and hyper-personalization. I think that's what we are looking more and more into now, is not just creating smartness, but creating ways for the smartness to collaborate with other smartness in the tech stack. And I would say that the enhancements that we can make for the customers or for the business, with the business solutions that we can create using that, I would say it's unprecedented. I don't think that we have seen the full potential, what it actually can do yet.
No. And I was reading somewhere, it was a trustworthy source, but I'd like to hear it from you as well, just to kind of get an idea of like how kind of realistic it is. But like I was reading how by the end of this year, 2025, over 80% of customer interactions in telecom will be handled by these kind of AI-powered automation, right? Is this, is this the case, would you say? Do you share this view?
It's not actually a number that we're striving for, but I would say that there are so many processes often involved when you're doing when you're providing a service for the customer. So what we are saying is that we will use AI also to empower the customer service agents. So it's going to be a more human-centric type of AI development as well.
Yes,
Making every interaction also with the humans at Telia more valuable for the customer. So it's not, but I would say that if you talk about 80%, there are so many things that you can automate along the way before it reaches an actual agent. And hopefully that number is even higher than 80%. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, but good. Good to hear that you mentioned a kind of human centric approach as well, kind of empowering the human here with the AI powered processes. What do you think are the biggest challenges in implementing AI and automation while maintaining this kind of human centric customer experience as well?
In the way that we have approached it now, I would say that the biggest challenges is managing expectations in the organization, or when we have created something that we want people to use that would make their everyday more effective or add a value or contribute in any way, then we need to. It's a change management when it comes to people, and we are a large organization. So I would say Telia, all markets, around 20,000 people. We are creating chatbots and chat agents. So, and we are creating other types of agents for predictive data and understanding more and using it more in decision making and so on. But then we need to make sure that the adoption of these new services are also progressing in the same speed. And it requires a lot of effort from an entire organization, understanding on how many levels we need to do trainings and mind shifts and making people understand the value. And when something is changing so rapidly, being able to reach every single one in a big organization and making them understand what is even available for them out there, that is difficult to manage. So the speed of the way that we're changing things versus the speed it requires when you are trying to change way of working or structures or systems within a company. So that's one thing. And other thing I have noticed when it comes to LLMs or ChatGPT or Copilot, whatever you're using in a company, is that sometimes people have super high expectations of what you can get out of an LLM that they're disappointed. Because it's been so hyped that now you can do this. You never have to do a PowerPoint again, and you can summarize and it can take notes. And when people are using it, they are not feeling that it's solving problems on that scale yet. And they're still needing to put in a lot of efforts, and we need to train these machines, and it's taking time. So people are being also disappointed with AI and not seeing the rapid change. So it's a mix, as always, when you work with people and change.
Yeah. No, I think it's it's what expectation does the end user go into using it with, right? I think it can only be as good as the data it has access to, right? Particularly you're talking about these kind of very kind of hyper-personalized processes. They can only be personalized if they're fed with the relevant data, right? So, but you also mentioned the point of like predictive analytics as well. And just a final question from me on the topic of AI here. How's Telia using AI to kind of anticipate, let's say, customer needs or potentially kind of prevent service disruptions as examples here?
I mean, we are looking at it use case by use case. So when it comes to the more predictive AI, right now we're looking into it when it comes to invoicing, perhaps, that we can see that. So if somebody has been trying to look at their invoice many times without paying it, so maybe they're not understanding what it says or they don't know what to do, and then we can offer them guidance on recommendations on how to do something or proceed and do something differently. So it's very simple use cases still, but I'm thinking in the long term, it could be also, okay, so we see that you have buying these services from us, it's actually underutilized. Maybe you should stop doing that and do more of this. And dependent on how much of trust you're able to gain from that customer, you have a bigger freedom of actually helping them. But that also requires customers to make sure that they feel, or companies to make sure that that the customers feel, or the users of their services feel, that the AIs that the companies or corporations are using are working for them and not the company. And I think that is also a bit of a shift in how we are working when it comes to market automation or other things, when we are contacting people with these great campaigns and recommendations. If I, as a customer, would feel like, okay, this is just based on what you want to sell, not on what I need, then that trust will be broken.
Yeah.
So we need to be more careful when we're designing these campaigns and marketing strategies than we have been before, because people now understand the smartness of an AI.
And talking of shifts, what do you see as the biggest shifts in how customers engage with telecom services? I mean, in a kind of future the future of customer engagement here, Telecom's role moving forward as well?
I would say that one aspect of telecom, and it's not maybe top of mind for people or consumers, is that we are working with connectivity and networks. We're enabling all digital services. We are the infrastructure for all connectivity and all AI in all companies. And that puts a different type of responsibility on us as well when it comes to providing security and digital services and low latency and in our network, so that we can have data models running with needing these high performing networks. A lot of companies that we work with are also perhaps government or authorities or cities or smart cities. It need to be very secured networks. We work with hospitals, so it's important that the patient data doesn't accidentally come out or is made available for anybody else using a cloud function. So if we want the society or AI-based services to grow and be made for everyone, accessible for everyone, then it's important for us as telecoms to take that responsibility in how we are going to create these networks and these networks as a service and smart networks, slicing networks, making sure that, because we see a rise of IoT services, for instance. So how is that going to work? Entire supply chains, how can we make those more efficient if people are doing more of the internet shopping? I mean, there's so much to look into when it comes to providing digital services in the telecom industry. I would say even more so than ever before, since the privacy of cloud solutions, how we work with data and AI has become such a critical part of any business right now. It makes it very critical for us to solve that problem for our customers, for our business customers. But then we are also a retailer like everyone else with those opportunities that presents and how we can talk to end users. But the biggest challenge is how we can solve this on a kind of a more nationwide.
And I think you mentioned a point of obviously connectivity, right? And all of this goes beyond just like faster speeds, right, or connection speeds. This is, like you mentioned, Internet of Things, the ecosystems that you're kind of underpinning here. Telecom providers can play a big role in lots of different areas now, right? I think like smart city solutions is one really cool, interesting area in my view as well. But like, what does the future kind of customer experience or customer meeting look like in this kind of digital first world? How should companies adapt to meet these new demands, do you think?
Well, when I envision the future, I see this hyper-personalized experiences and also kind of augmented experiences. And I know that in not in Sweden that much, but in other countries where maybe the data, how we can use data isn't as restricted, we can say that it's these experiences are being so enhanced. If you go to a concert or if you watch a movie or you are attending a music festival or a festival of any sort, how these kind of augmented views of and hyper personalized for me, and we can be together but have different experiences. I think that is super interesting in understanding how we can also use that and use those types of extreme experiences where people are just looking into having thrills into incorporating that into a shopping experience or eating out at a restaurant or whatever. So I think how we are going to perceive and the experiences that we're going to have are going to be so much enhanced with this hyper-personalization and the offers that we're going to be able to get. And how I kind of put that into what are we going to offer as Telia. Of course, the networks for doing this, I'm hoping. But also, I mean, we are a part of the connectivity and how we are going to create supply chains, for instance, for IoT, or shopping experiences or service experiences, higher degree of self-service and automation and offers and predictability when it comes to making use of our other services as well.
Yeah, and on the point of these kind of experiences as well, what was so exciting and cool, I think, is how everything's kind of in real time.
Yeah.
As well, right? Yeah.
Right.
And on the point you also mentioned earlier, the point of security, which I think is also obviously a very, very important point here. Technologies like AI and 5G, 6G are kind of driving the next wave of transformation, right? What trends do you believe will define the next kind of decade, say, of digital transformation in telecom?
I would say when we talk about AI, then paired with 5G, a lot of people talk about network revolution instead of evolution. So that's smart, I guess. But I think that we're seeing how we can look at networks differently. I think 5G is just the beginning. It's much more, I mean, the way that we're using it now is for faster streaming of services. But I mean, we know that it can be used in much smarter ways to with data modeling and analyzing huge amounts of data in no time, as you said, with real-time experiences. And 6G is the extension of that, but also creating private networks that are ultra secure, and then connecting a lot of networks to each other so that we can have the stability of perhaps having a fiber-based network with a cloud solution network with some other type of network that is focused on machine learning for this specific thing, whatever it could be. And we connect those networks. So we have network as a service. I would say that would be the evolution of, I mean, next step telecom services would be how do we create those type of ecosystems of networks that people can buy or plug into or whatever to have these enhanced experiences. And when it comes to security, I would say AI is going to make it easier in some sense to defend ourselves against cyber attacks. But on the other hand, cyber attackers would probably use AI, so the attacks will be more sophisticated. We need
and
to
I think
be,
this kind of these networks are like these AI, sorry to interrupt, but it's like it's going to be a rise of these AI-powered decision-making in these networks that you're talking about, right? So, I mean, with that in mind, what are the kind of most pressing security risks that companies are going to need to address, do you think?
If I own the company, I would say I would put cybersecurity at the top of my agenda. Because we want to be able, all companies will need to use data and analytics in a much larger extent. I mean, I would say that that's just the way to survive. You need to use data, you need to utilize different types of cloud services probably for hyperscalers or, I mean, to move faster. And if you don't know how to protect your things, if it's your data, what data do you need to have on-prem? What data can you use in different ways? You need to find this infrastructure, this analytics infrastructure, and it's not something that every company knows how to do. And since again AI is fairly new in how we are using it in all aspects of our company, I would say that you need to really find strong partners when it comes to cybersecurity to be able to help you create an infrastructure that can protect your data or your business intelligence against others. It's going to be the top priority, I would say, for anyone.
Yeah. And I think, with these 5G, 6G enabled devices accounting for more and more global network traffic, I think these kind of security challenges are only going to rise over time, right? Yeah,
for sure.
And onto a little bit of kind of leadership and career advice, Sara. For those aiming for leadership positions like yours in digital and analytics, what key lessons have you learned that could help others succeed in leading digital transformation in companies?
I mean, I would say that you need to stay true kind of to your core values. As I started off with saying, I mean, what excited me when I started out is what excites me still. And then I have applied it in different roles, on different levels and in different organizations throughout the years. But I'm still very curious in understanding new technologies and what has evolved. I mean, I would say that I'm looking into tech evolvements daily just to understand kind of where we're headed. And I'm always interested in understanding, okay, so how would that affect me as a human in what I am doing? What would I need to, how can I gain value out of this technology? And that type of curiosity, always like understanding the trends, seeing the tech trends, understanding kind of the people trends that will follow. And then I would say empathy, lead with empathy. Not everyone responds to change the same way, especially if you're not leading or driving the change yourself. You're just a normal person doing your everyday job, and somebody says, we need to do it differently now. That's not always going to be welcomed. And empathy is really important in those cases. So we need to, as leaders, bridge the gap between tech and humans. And be comfortable with the uncertainty. It's in the things that we're not quite sure how to deal with that the greatest innovations come from. So we have to be kind of, we need to like that state of not knowing.
Yeah. No, I think it's something, I think more and more people need to embrace, for sure. And I like the fact that you mentioned about basically not kind of wondering how these kind of transformations, AI and everything, is going to kind of impact you, so to speak, rather kind of how you can leverage it.
Yeah.
You know? I think it's a really good point. What exciting developments or projects can we expect from Telia, from you and your team in the near future? Talk to us a little bit about the excitement that's coming up.
Well, what we talked about, I think, today, it's AI-powered customer experiences, next 5G applications, smart cities, remote healthcare. I mean, things that would require smarter, better, more predictable networks. And then something that we're looking into is also sustainability. I mean, how can we use AI to optimize energy consumption, for instance? And be more greener and more efficient. Those are, I think, in the forefront or in the top 3 things that we're focusing on right now.
Is there anything more, more in general that's on the horizon that excites you about, the future of data and AI, not necessarily in telecom, but in general?
I think that what I am interested in seeing is how we, with the help of AI, there has been for a long time a big talk about digital divide. We have generational gaps. Not everybody is being a part of the digital transformation or digital evolution. If we have generational gaps or different types of disabilities. But what we're seeing with AI is that since it is so close to a real-time or language, that we can bridge that gap. And I think that's interesting on a society level to see if it's going to help us to be more inclusive within all aspects of how we are interacting with each other on a society level.
Really nice. And is there anything that you would, you'd like to add before I wrap up?
There's so much. I wouldn't know where to start, but I think I will just stop here.
All right. Well, Sara, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today and sharing your expertise on, well, we spoke about hiring, diversity, collaboration, and lots more. So it's been a really engaging conversation. So thanks so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. Until next time, keep innovating, keep building, and we will see you soon.